My name is Megan Fremont-Smith, and today I will be talking to you about the idea of communication agility. Communication is no longer a soft skill, it's a power skill. It's at the core of every interaction we have, both in person and now online. I have been studying and utilizing a communication assessment tool called DISC for nearly 10 years. I've decided to explore the idea of communication and agility in the Scrum framework to determine if more Scrum teams would benefit from not only learning their own communication preferences, but the preferences of those within their team. One of the most common challenges I see in the field is difference in communication styles at the team level. If we can leverage a simple and easy method like DISC to increase individuals' self-awareness around how they respond to conflict, what motivates them, and what causes them stress, then perhaps we can have more improved working relationships. Because I believe that when you recognize the communication needs of yourself, you're then able to recognize the communication needs of others. And from there, we might see better teamwork. What is DISC? DISC is a communication assessment tool that was developed in 1928. And much like Scrum, it's evolved over time. Dr. William Moulton Marston from Harvard University was studying patterns of communication styles. And this really helped us to develop the 4-quadrant model that we use today, which you can see to your right-hand side. This model is designed to help team members understand themselves and also learn how to adapt their behaviors of communication for others. It's important to note that everyone is a blend of all 4 communication styles, but usually 1 or 2 styles stand out. Identifying and understanding these characteristics will help facilitate better conversations. A dominant communicator is a driver and somewhat competitive. They're very task-oriented and fast, and they like to get things done quickly. The influential communicator is enthusiastic and persuasive, and they like to have fun while they're doing any type of work. A steady communicator is more sincere and patient, and they like to work with others. And the compliant communicator is more cautious and analytical, and they like to make sure that it's done correctly. Some important considerations to note about the DISC model. First and foremost, these help measure preferences and tendencies. They do not measure someone's skills, talents, or abilities. And more importantly, not one communication style is better than the other. In fact, we need all 4 communication styles typically on a team to find balance. And also, this is a tool for dialogue, not a diagnosis. Let's take a moment to talk about the profile indicators and attributes. In this model, we asked trainees to take a short assessment, providing them with a series of questions regarding stressors, motivators, preferences, and tendencies. The results are then tracked on a 4-quadrant model, much like the one you see in front of you. And it really showcases the answers to the following questions. Do you find that you're more fast-paced and outspoken? Or would you say you're more cautious and reflective? In addition, are you more questioning and skeptical of data and information? Or would you say that you're more warm and accepting? Now, in the team environment, it's incredibly important to visualize where each and every individual or participant's dot lands on the 4-quadrant model. It's helpful because then you can see how close you are to another person and maybe how well you communicate with them. Or it shows you how much you have to stretch to meet somebody else that's further apart on the quadrant from you. I believe that a lot of what we do in Scrum is around coaching and strategizing how to be better and perform better. Well, the same is true when it comes to coaching others. There are patterns in how people respond to conflict and how they're motivated. This is very useful information from a Scrum Master's perspective, not only for coaching, but also for giving feedback in a way that can be best absorbed. And it's my belief that DISC allows you to, once understood, alter your message so that each and every person you work with and speak to can absorb the feedback that you're trying to give them. Here are some assumptions we should cover. We can assume the idea of cross-functional teams in Scrum. And with that, different communication profiles will definitely emerge based on skill sets and roles. Learning about your team members' profiles will help you better understand their priorities and how their styles may differ from your own. But will this knowledge be helpful in Scrum team environments? Let's find out. I designed this experiment using 2 existing teams at Scrum Inc. who deal with outside customers. I performed individual assessments on each participant to help them understand their unique DISC communication profile. Then we came together as a team and did a workshop on the team's communication preferences, the trends that we see within that team, and made sure that we talked a little bit about the differences in communication styles. Each participant was taught how to adapt their own style to help others. Let's discuss the qualitative results first. One of the first places that I saw DISC deployed was in the sprint planning event. One of these teams started scheduling co-trainers based on complementary communication styles that made for a much better learning experience for the trainee and presenting data in a balanced approach. In addition, they were able to plan more productive swarming sessions, leveraging strengths and balancing weaknesses. Another place that we saw DISC being applied was from the producer's perspective in live classes. So when we do have live classroom audiences, our producer was better able to answer questions based on the knowledge of DISC and being able to profile the trainee. This was incredibly beneficial. Sales was also impacted by DISC. In fact, one of our teams was able to get to a no more quickly from a prospective buyer. And although that might sound negative, it's actually quite the opposite. When you leave more room in the pipeline for real opportunities, you then have the ability to build rapport with those customers as opposed to spinning your wheels and wasting time on people who are truly not interested. And potentially most importantly, we noticed a jump in psychological safety. Most participants stated that DISC helped promote an environment of psychological safety within the team. And that's huge. Here are some powerful feedback from customers. The DISC training has been an absolute game changer for us. We are having the right conversations, and I can already feel so much more empathy on the team. Thank you for helping us unlock that. One of our team members said, this is going to help daily conversations with team members, either casual conversations or heavy collaboration sessions. In addition, we noticed that Scrum Masters were willing to go back and look at their team's working agreement, making sure everyone is aware of not only their motivators, but their stressors. And they're practicing this skill on a regular basis. Qualitative results are great, but quantitative results are important too. There was a class here of licensed agile coaches at Scrum Inc. recently, and we taught them in the briefest way DISC. Nearly 92% of the students surveyed out of that class felt that DISC would be an incredibly beneficial tool to them as a coach. In fact, 70% of them were interested in taking a private class on the topic to further their understanding. And when it came to the teams internal to Scrum Inc., 100% of the surveyed participants felt it was a game changer at the team level. 100% of the people surveyed felt DISC was valuable for Scrum Masters, product owners, team members, and coaches to learn. And last but not least, in terms of our sales results, we had response rates to outbound sales emails increase from 15 to 50% when we started to craft and curate the message based on someone's DISC profile. It is my belief that implementing DISC into all of our core curriculum is going to help our teams perform at a much higher rate. If you or someone you know might be interested in furthering this idea of communication agility, please feel free to follow me online. Thank you so much for your time. Take care.